Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another edition of Hilaal Live. My name is Lukman Shadrach, all the way from the Cape Town studios. Jummah Mubarak to you and your loved ones. I trust you had a good Friday, and it's wet and rainy in Cape Town and some parts of South Africa as well. Please remember to keep your following distance, keep your headlights on as well, and to reach your destination on time and safe. As we do every Friday, we catch up with what's going on in our beautiful country, more importantly in the Western Cape. Back in studio, I'd like to welcome Fahiem Stellenboom. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Always a pleasure to be here with you, despite this terrible weather.
I know, and it looks like it's going to get worse this weekend.
Yes, this is only the tip of the iceberg.
Correct.
Because they're also anticipating snow in the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape. So I don't know what we're going to do because our dams are full.
Well, there's lots of sport on this weekend, so that's me.
Yes.
That's me sorted for the weekend. And also, I think they've issued a yellow warning or something like that. So it sounds very extreme, especially if you're out in the sea as well. They've issued warnings for people going out. So please try and be safe as well. Fahiem, it's a weekend, and as we do, we get more relaxed. We switch off our phones. Well, we try. Switch off our work computers and prepare for the weekend, try and entertain our families. What's On is always a feature where we tell our viewers what's going on in our beautiful province. What do you have for us this week?
I thought it might be a good idea to talk about markets,
nice.
Whether it's food markets or the flea markets and stuff, because, with the advent of COVID, we found that there was a growth in a lot of people kind of going into trying to, as we spoke earlier, and have a side hustle to supplement income and things, and it worked out very well for them. And so I thought we'll talk about the wonderful markets that we have in the Western Cape. And of course, one of my favorites that I'm going to start off with is the Oranjezicht market, which is in the waterfront.
That's a lovely market.
Interesting story. Cheryl Lazinski, who runs that market, was formerly head of Cape Town tourism in Cape Town. And then she started the market, and it was called the Oranjezicht market because it was based at a school in Oranjezicht.
Okay.
But then the school was developing their property. They were kind of building on or they'd sold off some of the property, and she moved to this great spot in the waterfront. Rumor has it, I don't know if it's true, that they are going to be relocated from there as well because the waterfront needs that space. But they'll probably make space for them in the waterfront somewhere because it is a great market. And I think, and again, it's halal friendly. It's not entirely halal, but there are great options.
Lovely. The view is amazing. I mean, what is that? The lookout area, right?
It's kind of just next to the lookout area. I think it's opposite Somerset Hospital.
Correct.
In that just before you get to Mully Point. I think most importantly, it is a little bit more expensive, but people are going for quality and food and quality buys. And I have to say that even not only vendors, but I think a lot of the communities now, they are enjoying the idea of going to markets and kind of trying things at market because it's bespoke food. It's bespoke. You can't get that anywhere else. I mean, at the Oranjezicht market, for example, that vegetable section and the fruit section,
very nice.
I mean, you want to buy everything,
Yeah.
And my favorite is, of course, the mushrooms. You have all this wonderful choice of mushrooms, and then they fry them for you right there, and it kind of melts in your mouth. So really, a great market, and I would highly recommend it. As I said, they've become a little bit more, what shall I say, popular, and what come with that, of course, there's music, loud music and live music. So at least it gives artists and musicians an opportunity to also, do their thing. But it's a little bit loud. It might be my age. it could be. No, but there's a very, very nice vibe there. Nice. And I think again, the stalwart of the markets is definitely the biscuit mill.
Yes.
What I understood in the past is that they used to have a vintage market on a Sunday and the food on a Saturday. Yeah. They have the food over both days now.
And that's near the Salt River Circle.
That's near the Salt River Circle, in Woodstock. The biscuit mill has been there the longest. It's a great formula that they have, and I am almost sure that they are the same guys who kind of have been involved with Cheryl Lazinski in terms of planning the waterfront. But they, of course, they don't own it. Cheryl Lazinski runs it.
And I think the times, do they go until about 5-6ish?
I think a little bit earlier. Sort of they kind of by about 3-4 o'clock they start to because the patrons or the people visiting at the market the interest wanes because they've been there. You can't really stay for that long.
Okay.
And so for me, those are the two great markets. I did try and research before coming here a market that I really enjoyed. I was there for the first time last year, was the Cape Town Halal Festival. So they have, again, markets. What I could find out is that they are biannual markets. I don't know precisely when they were. There was one in December last year.
Yeah, I think they planned in another one in December this year as well.
Yeah.
The venue, I'm not too certain. Have they
They've
identified?
changed venues.
Okay.
Yeah, they were out in Ottery last year on the military base field there.
Yes.
And that was great. The weather changed, which was unusual.
Yeah.
But nothing that we should be
not used to in Cape Town.
Exactly. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. And it is applicable. But what was great is that it was a really fantastic market, and it was a completely halal market, and you had wonderful options of food vendors, of course, and other beautiful artwork, clothing, a wide range of really exciting things that they have. But as I said, I couldn't find too much information about when they're on again. I seem to remember there was one that happened for Ramadan.
Okay.
So maybe if they are listening and they can, let us at least know how often they go, when they plan to. But the venue changed. They were, as I said, they were in Ottery at the military base there, and then not long after that they were at the Maynardville on the property there.
Oh, nice.
And it was a great.
That's a lovely venue.
Very nice venue, and there was rugby on that day, so it was a wonderful vibe,
Nice.
and again, one worthy of support, and they do get great support. I would just like to be able to access more information.
Sure. And if anyone's listening as well, if you'd like to tell us about markets coming up in and around our beautiful country, you're welcome to email me, lukman@hilaal.tv, and we'll give you a market a feature. Send me some lovely pics, some information. We'll even try and get you on the line as well to tell you, so that you can tell our viewers a bit more about the wonderful market. Yeah. So that's the halal. I know that one's planned at the end of the year. I'm going to try and get the organizing committee on it sometime to chat about that. What else do you have for us, Fahiem?
And so there's the flea markets again. It's unbelievable that families, because they don't have to spend any money, they don't have to pay for entry, they can walk about, they can kind of look at things. The flea markets, and again, have always been popular.
Right.
But even more so now, as everything's become expensive, the cost of living, etc. So people enjoy it as an outing with the whole family that you can walk about. The Milnerton one is one of the long-running ones.
Does it happen on a Saturday and a Sunday?
And both Saturday and Sunday, but it does tend to close or kind of calm down by about after 1 or really 2 o'clock. Yes.
Okay.
The other one, of course, is the Muizenberg flea market, and I think that is one that is very popular because you can. That when you want 11th hour presence and you're not quite sure where to go, what to get, and especially if you're looking for something that's bespoke and specific, then that one has wonderful options. They sell incredible nuts there.
Right. Okay.
Figs, sour figs. So that's usually my buy.
Is that your go-to?
That's usually my buy. The nuts for the. Of course, for the energy, and then I'm very excited to talk about. The Koeksister magazine, we'll hear some more about that later on, but they run markets, and I've been involved with a few of their markets. The next one is on the 26th of August.
Okay.
So they have various themes around big holidays, public holidays in South Africa. This one on the 26th is a focus on women.
Okay.
And apparently a guest of honor there will be Khadija Saido. So she'll
lovely.
talk about her cookbook, which will be very, very good to.
And I think we've got some pics as well of the market that we'll probably bring up just now as well.
They partnered with the Homecoming Center, which is the old Fugard, or next to the old Fugard. And so they have these markets that run very popular, and again, a wide range. Wonderful food that's on offer, and that is run by the Koeksister magazine, which is part of a broader lockdown recipe storytelling book Facebook group that was started. But we'll hear more about that. They for the month of September, it being Heritage Month, there's another one planned for So they focus on these important days, and then of course before Christmas there's another one. So then there are these themes, and I think it's always very good that markets do that they have various themes. There's jazz, where they've got jazz music all day with Glenn Robertson and his band.
Okay.
So it's lekker music that we all know.
Okay.
That
grew up with
in
the Western Cape as well.
Fathers and grandparents used to sing along with, and people like that vibe. So it's a good vibe, and also Homecoming Centre is a special place for us. The whole thing with District 6, and it's a fundamental part of our not only our history but our legacy, but also part of our culture. Food being a fundamental part of that, and how people survived and existed in District 6, and again how communities, whether you were Muslim, Christian, or whatever it were, and across the religious line, across the color line, how they coexisted beautifully.
Absolutely.
Of course, until the terrible thing happened of uprooting them during the 60s.
But we hold on to that legacy. We hold on because it shaped our society. It shaped who we are and how we do business and interact in the Western Cape as well. So Fahiem alluded to the Koeksister magazine, and we're going to link up with the editor and publisher just after the break as well. Find out about some of the great stories that's featured in this magazine, people that have passed on recipes from generation to generation, but more importantly about the Cape culture as well. We're rich in culture in the Western Cape area, and all that comes just after the break. Thanks for watching us on Hilaal Live. Welcome back to Hilaal Live. Thanks for watching us on Channel 347 on DSTV. Now, we all know the Cape area, especially the Western Cape, is well known for its rich culture and amazing history. Now, from this, we all too often find fascinating stories. One such project is the Koeksister, or as we say in the Cape area, Koeksister magazine. And to tell us more, joining us all the way from Pringle Bay is the editor and publisher, Ingrid Jones. Good evening, Ingrid, and welcome.
Hi, Lukman. Thank you for inviting me. And you guys should have told me to dress up because you look so fabulous.
No. We want to catch you in your element, where you are relaxed and getting those, creative juices flowing as well. Pringle Bay, such a beautiful side of the world. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us today as well. Ingrid, for those of our viewers that don't know too much about some of the great work that you've done, could you kindly tell us a bit more?
Are you talking about the magazine specifically?
Or just your life in general, just who you are and how you came about, some of the history and the wonderful projects you've worked on?
Man, what informs whatever it is that I do is because I grew up on the platteland.
Okay.
I'm the product of a teacher and a nurse, and teaching is part of the blood that runs through most of my family's veins. Okay. So I ended up being a teacher. And in whatever I've done, whether I'm now, I left teaching quite a long time ago, stepped into the media space.
Right.
And then I became an editor. And then we acquired a company called Mikateko Media with two other colleagues of mine. Mm-hmm. And we are since in the publishing industry, a very difficult industry to be in at the moment, because the debate of print or no print, digital, or what it is that one does. And with Koeksister, I've fallen back in love with food, the magazine, because that's my kom vandaan. You know, we didn't have a lot, but we had food that was shared up and down the street with the neighbors and so on.
Right.
So it's quite delightful to be in the company of fellow. I don't want to call people foodies. Sometimes it gets quite pretentious.
Of course.
Because this is all about home cooked meals done in people's kitchens, outside on the braai.
Nice.
There's nothing pretentious about it. And that is in essence what Koeksister is about.
Brilliant. So I've got Fahiem Stellenboom in studio, a colleague and a very good friend of yours as well. And we just saw a picture of his father who was on the magazine as well, with a whitey. Fahiem, that must have been such a wonderful experience.
It was glorious. And the whole thing was driven, of course, by Ingrid Jones. How lovely to have you on the show, Ingrid. I'm very glad that you're telling us about this incredible project.
Thanks, but I'm sure you spilled all the beans already.
No, I haven't actually, because we spoke about all sorts of other things. But I think what you failed to mention also is that the whole Koeksister magazine happened through the Food Fairy Facebook group, which started out as the Lockdown Recipe Storytelling Group, and you were the founder of that. And we have nearly 5,800
Subscribers.
some members to it.
Lovely.
Yeah. And so all kinds of things that happen. I spoke earlier on that we also, for example, you do markets through the Koeksister magazine about the upcoming one for the Women's Month, and then of course Heritage Month and the Christmas one. But you started the Lockdown Recipe Storytelling Food Group, which has now evolved into the Food Fairies and of course Koeksister magazine.
See, you don't even need me on the show. You're doing all the talking.
I'm just
That's
listening
why I love you.
I'm listening to this whole thing now as well. But the magazine itself, Ingrid, tell our viewers a bit more about the essence of the magazine and what are you hoping to obtain in the next couple of months?
Look, the magazine, as Fahiem said, came about in lockdown where people were making pisang berode and so on. And then we thought, but you know what? Not all of us are making pisang berode. Let's try something very different. And it came about as, okay, let's do something for ourselves in essence. And then people signed on. And like Fahiem said, we are now on 5,800 members. So we've done a book called the Lockdown Recipe Storytelling Book. I'm just looking at it. That's here on my wall to my right. And we brought out a hardcover book for people, by people, where people say, but we don't see ourselves in magazines. And we're like, but we can make it happen, because I work in the publishing industry. Why didn't I think of it before? And so that came out. That was a success. And we had so many recipes left. Look, there are people, might I just add, who are still mad at us that not everyone was included in the original book. But, you've got X amount of pages. You can only do X. And so on. And hence the magazine came about for the overflow of people and recipes that we have.
Okay.
And so the first cover, you had it on your screen, was the sold out cover. And we then evolved in what is now called, because I don't know why we still would want to call ourselves Lockdown Recipe Storytelling Book. So we changed it to Food Fairies.
Okay.
Because we make magic in the kitchens and in the pots and hence the name.
Okay.
So the magazine is now was a quarterly. We unfortunately had to look at the business model of print versus digital. Yeah. And it's a difficult thing for people to go through because they want the magazine, but publishing is struggling. And so you have to find another way. So we've now moved the magazine with Whitey on the cover, our own celebrity. And we've moved him onto the cover because he is so hugely popular. Brilliant. Everyone, all the girls just want a picture with him, not with Fahiem. And so now we've gone digital. But what people, I think, do not understand is when you go digital, you can't offer them a magazine. You now have to offer them an experience. So over and above the stuff that they would have gotten within the magazine, they are now getting content other than what they would have, that could be more regularly updated. You can accommodate more people and all of that. And that comes with a annual subscription. Okay. So we are hard at work. We would love to bring out, like probably the end of the year, like a compilation of a hardcover with everyone, and of course, with Whitey on the cover. But it is indeed very, very difficult to do. But of course. We started it during lockdown, so why can't we sustain it, when there are no more barriers, boundaries to...
I'll tell you what I'm happy to do. I'm happy to focus on some of the recipes and the backstory of those recipes that you feature in the magazine. Fantastic. So people that you've come on to, like Whitey, for example, and his wonderful recipes, and other people that are based in the magazine, that are featured in the magazine, that are based in the Western Cape, on my show.
That would be awesome.
And I'd love to know the backstory. I'd love to know, and I'm sure you've got so many stories like that in terms of recipes that's been passed down from generation to generation, to the point that I know that you guys even have a market that you're planning very soon.
Yeah, there are so many stories. I mean, you can just start with the Whitey and his penny polony smoothie.
Nice.
There's Fahiem with his Auntie Minachi very popular corn soup. And so, we encourage people to talk about the story behind the story. Where does it come from? Because it didn't fall from the air.
Of course.
But then again, because there's so many content creators, and this is the thing about modern society. I'm sitting in Pringle Bay, I'm talking to you, and it's like we're sitting around the same table, and technology can do so much more.
I agree.
It all depends what the content is that you bring to a platform. So the one of the platforms will then be the Koeksister festivals, or for lack of a better word, that comes out when there's something worth celebrating. And August is Women's Month, and we are lucky enough to have the Sido sisters, who I would have the joy of interviewing on that particular day. It's always very fun and festive. Fahiem will be there with his camera, hy vat foto's van almal, en as jy nie reg aangetrek is nie, dan word jy sommer lipstick opgesit of so. So that is that there's a wonderful sense of ownership, camaraderie, and a sense of Ubuntu with people. So, we are looking forward to seeing people on that day.
Ingrid, congratulations on the project. I think it's a wonderful idea. It showcases our wonderful, rich history in the Western Cape. But more importantly, it also gives people the opportunity to actually have a side hustle or gain an additional income by coming through to your markets as well.
We have launched so many people's careers off the Food Fairy group, for example, and through the magazine, that people are, they've started home industries, they learn from each other, they so many things that I can't even remember now. Or they can, they can bring the stuff that they do to the food market, and they can sell their stuff over there.
Fantastic.
But it's not. There's the market people in their work uniforms, eating as usual.
We stick to what we do best. Let's put it that way.
Yes, stick to your knitting.
Absolutely. Ingrid, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to link up with us. I'm sure over the next couple of weeks we'll definitely be chatting, and I'd love to get some of your recipes onto the show, share it with our viewers. But if people would like to interact with you, try and get more involved, what are the best methods to do that?
Look, we would like them to join us on the Food Fairy group. They can just send us an invitation so that we can make the circle bigger. That'd be fantastic. I'm quite an involved person. I like to read every post. And if you ask me a specific question, I will answer. So that's the best platform.
Okay.
And then, of course, at the markets, I'll be at the next market. Our team will be at the next market. So come, join.
Brilliant.
And Koeksisters.
Ingrid, have a lovely evening, great weekend, and we look forward to speaking to you very soon.
Thank you for making the time, Ingrid. We know how busy you are.
Thanks for the opportunity.
And I'm pleased I didn't have to slap you into submission to do the interview.
I'm very scared of you.
All the best, Ingrid. And that's how we end What's on Hilaal Live. After the break, Asghab Job joins us in studio to give us some fitness tips and more importantly, how to actually get fit at home. So do join us after the break. You are still watching Hilaal Live.